bad news for Boeing today. Huge plunge after they said they were going to draw down all of its $13.8 billion loan. So that's part of why Boeing slid. But what does this actually mean?
It's as much a story about Boeing's pain as it is about Tesla's gain, right? You know, Boeing has this double whammy where it's dealing with the coronavirus, the impact on travel globally. People are traveling less, they're definitely flying less.
And they're continuing to deal with the 737 MAX issues
and we're approaching
the
the one-year anniversary of the 737 MAX being grounded. So if you look in the decline of Boeing shares so far this year, that's kind of how Tesla's managed to creep up. But to be fair to Tesla, it's amazing that we're even talking about them in the same breath as a Boeing, you know, this legacy, huge industrial name that has $80 billion of revenue last year. Tesla did $25 billion of revenue last year. And it's this kind of crazy concept that investors have been talking about, right? They've been talking about how Tesla is becoming a quote unquote real company that is producing real things in real factories. There's a growth story there. Tesla shares are up 55% year to date. It's expanding its production capacity to 500,000 vehicles this year, and it's increasing its base of industry where it wants to manufacture. Already up and running in China, plans to get the factory up and running in Europe by next year, and now, you know, perhaps a new factory here in the US as well.
Right, Tesla's been a real company for a long time, let's be honest. There's an irony here in that Elon Musk tweeted last week that the coronavirus panic is dumb. Meantime, today he's tweeting about opening new factories in the United States.
Well, on coronavirus, we actually don't know much about how it's impacting Tesla. On the last earnings call, January 30th, the CFO said, look, it's going to delay production in China by one and a half weeks, impacts profitability, but we haven't heard much more. We don't know what the situation is inside the Fremont factory over the water from us. For example, you know, Elon tweets, he draws attention away perhaps from the company and onto himself. But, you know, they're looking at this new potential factory here in the United States to produce the Cybertruck, this futuristic pickup, and even a Model Y factory that they hope will be on the East Coast, according to another tweet by Elon.
Well, and Tesla hasn't been immune to the volatility over the last few days. I mean, the stock plunged almost 14%.
Yep.
Monday regained about half that. Yesterday, down again today. You have to think if there's a broader economic downturn, that impacts a car maker.
So I guess there's two schools of thought here, right? The first is like, where is Tesla's demand coming from? And this ties into the Cybertruck debate. There's signs that demand for this, what was once thought as concept vehicle, is really strong. In a market for pickup trucks, which is kind of entrenched with three players. And so analysts raised that, is it just the diehards, the Teslarati, the people that really believe in the concept that will go for it? Or is it this idea that if the world is going to shift to a renewable energy, sustainable source of energy and electric vehicles, that Tesla has first mover advantage? And even in a downturn, even in a recession, people still buy vehicles, right? Yes, used vehicles do better than new cars in a recession, but Tesla is pretty much the sole player right now in EVs. So it depends what kind of support they get from the core base, but also the broader consumer base as well.
Does Tesla have an advantage over other car makers in this moment?
We've done some reporting around this, and part of the big gain that we've seen in the first half of this year comes from this idea that technology-wise, Tesla could be 3 to 5 years ahead of the big Germans, right? This is what's so incredible about this story. We talk about Tesla's market cap. It's greater than Volkswagen's, yet Volkswagen produced 10 million vehicles last year. Tesla produced 360,000. But what the street is looking at and what investors are looking at is saying, well, look at the battery tech, look at the range, look at actually the volumes they're producing. And no matter how many billions of dollars these big legacy European makers are putting into EVs, they're yet to build a single viable competitive vehicle.